What's up, guys? Welcome back to another podcast. Got a special guest. Listen, I met him at an event, and I told him, he shout out to me. He said, you know what? Get with me. I said, all right, I got to follow him. So he followed me. We followed each other. Listen, we got a good one today. He's an author. He's a speaker. Matter of fact, he's a professor, but I'm going to call him a prophet. What's up, big time?
What's up, Lloyd?
So tell the people about you, man. Tell me a bit about you.
Leo Simpson II. As you said, you already gave some of those things. But man, my claim to fame is helping people to replace chaos, frustration, and confusion in work, life, and identity with wellness. That's why they call me the wellness professor.
Okay, so we got the wellness professor today. So take us on this journey, okay? Take us on this journey. So how many years ago did you first see the ideal and the vision? And then how did you connect it to get there?
Man, somebody asked me this question recently. So it started in my childhood.
Okay,
I've been put in front of people for the longest. I'll give you an example of being put in front of people.
Okay.
So like going into the 5th grade, my mom, she registered me for this math competition, right? And so I hadn't studied for it or anything. It was through a national conference we participated in the summer. And I wasn't happy about it.
You about to get on that stage.
I wasn't happy about it. So I had to go do the competition. I went and did it. It was in a room. Next thing you know, they come looking for me. Hey, you won.
You didn't even know.
I didn't even know.
That's crazy.
So I won the competition. And that was just one example of, you win the competition. Next thing you know, you're on stage, people asking you questions. You in front of a national audience, state audiences, local audiences. And so
it's crazy.
With my grandfather being a pastor most of my life, my dad was a pastor. I was always put in front of people. And so the talking piece started there. But then outside of that, getting into the arena of sports and various things, getting into college and finding myself in student organizations, being a student leader, you're always talking, always speaking, ended up getting into leadership conferences.
Come on.
And really, man, where I can really go back and say, why am I a speaker today? It goes back to a conference I participated in my junior year in college.
Okay.
I didn't even pay to go to this conference. A reputable organization that's a Fortune 50 company actually paid for me to go.
I love it.
Literally.
Yes.
South Beach, Miami, Florida.
Somebody seeing your talent.
luxury resort style hotel on the beach. It was sweet.
Yes.
And man, I went to a session at that conference. The lady who was teaching in that session, her name was Tanya Wilson. She was talking about who moved my cheese. But
I read that book.
Man, it's awesome.
It's good.
I still share it with my kids today.
Okay.
And so we got into that session, man, and she spoke to the depths of who I was through the session.
Come on.
And that was the first time outside of a church environment that somebody had spoke to who I was and exposed my vulnerability to fill it with value. And from that moment, it was like, I got to get this to other people too, because it was transformational. Fast forward a number of years, I ended up being a John Maxwell team certified leader, speaker, teacher, coach. And that was around 2012. And from 2012 to now is where I've really been intentional. And you and I were talking about how I started doing content back in 2013 and I stopped. So I know the value of consistency just from the standpoint of being somebody who wasn't consistent as well. I missed that bag that people got, the Tabitha Browns of the world that came on stages, the Babe and Gabe, or the Gabe and all those people, man, you go back. Those folks, man, they hit it big.
And they was consistent. I try to tell people this. This year, I'm only focusing on 3 things. Because let me tell you, consistency is a new currency. Write that down.
Oh,
consistency.
Did you hear that? That's a bar. Consistency is the new currency.
All right. So consistent content, which is your messaging around your content, and then community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So I tell people, if you can do it in that order, be consistent, make sure your content is relevant to your audience.
Yeah.
Put that paywall up and build your community.
For sure.
So I'd rather have 100 people paying $77 a month than 100,000 people following me and I'm not making nothing.
For sure.
See what I'm saying?
For sure.
But I think a lot of people wrap their mind around, oh man, because I had people sit in that same seat, millions of followers, and barely making $300 or $400 a month.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because two things. Number one, they didn't have a website. And the last thing is they're using social media as a platform when you should have a website, which is I call it your online digital equity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So do you rather rent a house or own a house?
For sure.
Most people rather own it. So you don't own social media, but if you got a .com name, you own that.
For sure.
You own it.
Sure.
And I think that's what people drop the ball at. All right. So I know they don't know, but I heard you say, so you a PK kid.
For sure.
Okay. So
a few generations.
a few generations. So how'd that work out though? Like take us to your childhood.
Man. So dude. It was so when I was a kid,
okay,
it was like golden for me. Like I thought I was in the place.
Okay.
And to be very honest, I was. To be transparent, I was. But as I began to learn some things when I got older about maybe organizations, the environment, certain things, you start to see that there's a difference between religion and righteousness.
Ooh, that's deep. That's good.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not a part of the organization that I grew up in.
Okay.
But I'm absolutely a part of the faith that I was taught about. Right. And
it's
so there's a difference. You know, I also, you know, kind of still in that vein of a pastor because I'm an ordained elder and things of that sort. And so, you know, I've done weddings and various things, do some teachings and stuff through the teaching ministry that I have on YouTube. And so like we are continuing what was given, what was represented, but I'll go back to the childhood, man. It was one of the most exciting times of my life.
Oh, that's good.
But when I began to see how there was a mix of the aspects of the religion versus the right way to live, and there was like this hodgepodge and you couldn't really see the difference, I started to get frustrated.
Oh wow.
You know? And again, you know, as the wellness professor, I talk about how to actually take your chaos, your frustration and confusion and let it lead you to wellness. Like I had to literally do that because I was going to become disenchanted with the thing I needed to be enchanted with.
Come on.
And let out, you know, and just be continually ticked off with the thing that I shouldn't have been enchanted with and cause the whole bag to be terrible. You know, it's that thought process of don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? And so I had to actually say, where's the dirty water? Throw that out. But man, like I said, I had a lot of great experiences. I had a lot of great exposure. When I find myself in a position to challenge a lot of the things that I was taught growing up that was more religious.
I like that.
It actually showed who really was in your corner. You know, some people are really in your corner because you following the thing they're following.
Oh, that's good.
If you begin to challenge it and challenge it with good reason, they might throw you to the curb.
Oh, wow.
And what are you going to do when you get thrown to the curb?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
And so I found myself in a position to where I had to learn how to say, what's the foundation that I stand on, regardless of who's connected with it?
Oh, that's good.
And there were times that as I got older, I had to disagree with my father and my grandfather. Why? Because the position they took was more organizational than organic, right? The position they took was based on the religious structure rather than the righteous precepts. And so I had to make some decisions. And to be honest, outside of my faith, there's a sense of like, now I have a position to where what I know to be good and true, I'm going to stand with it, even if I'm wrong. Because at the end of the day, it's my conviction that I'm going to be actually held accountable to.
So this is the thing, though, because I think a lot of people are scared to challenge their elders because they feel like, well, they respect your elders because we know the right way. And it's like, me, I always been the outcast. So I'm gonna date myself. Back in 1998, I started my first business.
Okay.
I started a video game company.
Gotcha.
In 98, I was 18 years old.
Okay.
So I'm like, man, for 8 or 9 months, I'm trying to build this video game out. My family told me, brother, go back to work, brother. We don't know nothing about entrepreneurship. You need to go ahead and do it. But it was something inside of me that was like, no, I'm meant for this.
Yeah.
Guess what? I had to go back to work because nobody can help me. But for years, as I was...
You didn't let it go, though.
Oh, no. I ain't let it go.
You know, it's like this poem called Don't Quit. Rest if you must, but don't quit.
Yes.
You rested.
I rested. I had to go work. I worked for the railroad for 9 straight years. I was a pipe design engineer. I mean, I did a lot of work that was unnecessary. But it was necessary because it put some fuel to me that said, man, you're going to be an entrepreneur. And God, one day I was praying and God said, you know what? The minute somebody see your vision, it's no longer your vision. I put this vision inside of you because only you can see it. And so since only you can see it, only you can carry the torch to get there. Most people are going to see it once they can do this. Touch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, years ago, before we opened up the studio, we said, man, we opened up a content. We started podcast in 2018. We said, we're going to open up a podcast studio. We're going to be, people are like, what's that? What y'all trying to do? And I'm like, it's a content creation studio. Man, I don't know about that. Now, they like,
dude, man, this is a beautiful setup y'all got, man.
Man, God already has positioned us to build a 16,000 square foot campus for content creators. 5 podcast rooms, 5 photographer rooms, state-of-the-art training facility.
Shoot, you just need to bring me in on a regular basis and go ahead and cause people to see that this is good. This is the place to be.
Come on.
Regular guest Leo. Next thing you know, we're bringing the value.
Yes.
Hey, who else want to come and get some of this?
Yes. And so I like to hear what you said, though, because you challenged them.
Yeah.
And most people would be like, you been disrespectful, though.
I thought that. And it was hard.
Talk about it.
So, man, there's a psalm. So the longest psalm in the Bible is Psalm 119.
Come on.
And in Psalm 119, it's somewhere around, it's either in the 60s, the 70s, or the 90s. I can't remember exactly because it's been a while since I looked at it. But it actually said that your word makes me wiser than my teachers.
That's good.
All right, now check the principle, though. What it's saying is, while you might have age on me, depending on your principles will determine if you are wiser or if I'm going to be wiser.
You preaching now. Come on.
Right. So ultimately, I had to find out that there's a difference in wisdom by age and wisdom by perspective.
Ooh, that's good.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I learned it primarily in the context of having to find myself in a position to challenge what I thought because I wasn't getting the results that I was told I was supposed to get.
Ooh, come on.
Here's the thing. Let me tell you something, man. This is not a foreign concept to God.
Come on.
But it is a foreign concept to a lot of religious circles.
I got you.
If you believe in the truth from God, and you're not getting tangible results produced,
come on.
Something's wrong with what you believe, right? Because how are we going to go to the business world and we have strategies, ideas, imagination. We put it into tangible products, services, and options. And next thing you know, it gets rolled out as an opportunity and it starts to produce something and we get to determine and measure whether or not it's valuable. You're going to tell me God doesn't have that same standard?
Come on.
You're going to tell me that that's not the way that it's supposed to be, which is why as the wellness professor, it's like I'm very comfortable in that lane because I know that the spiritual is more real than the natural.
That's good.
Everything natural came about from the things that are spiritual. Matter of fact, you think about every idea, every experience, every situation, it starts with an ideal and the things in our heads more than it is the words we speak or the things we do.
And I always tell people this, is your environment, are they speaking to you? Are they positioning you or are they teaching you? All right.
And if they're teaching you, they're speaking to you and positioning.
That's what I'm saying. So the thing is, I grew up in a little town called Baytown.
We might have relatives, by the way.
Horrible.
We might have relatives. Okay. My dad was born in Baytown.
So
he pastored in Baytown.
What's his name?
Leonard Simpson.
Leonard Simpson.
So he was born in Baytown, but they moved and lived in Barrett Station. And so he played for Crosby High School.
My mom and them grew up in Barrett Station off of 613 Magnolia. Ethelina Callaghan, Leo Callaghan.
Stayed on Oak Street.
Oh, okay. Hey, it's a small
we know all this.
Yeah. I did not know this. But my grandma, she's 88. She still live on 613 Magnolia.
Okay.
She's still moving and grooving, of course, making it. But I say that because I'm so excited to hear what you said, because the next generation needs to kind of hear that. Now, I'm not saying don't be disrespectful, but it's okay to challenge what you see that you might not feel that's the correct way to go.
Man, let me share this with you. So one of the things I learned with challenging the elders, for lack of better terms,
okay, gotcha, is
when you challenge them, you learned really what type of elder you should and shouldn't be.
That's good.
All right, let me explain. Every generation is going to have a different type of opportunity, even though the previous generation has the ability to provide a launch pad and a foundation for them, right?
Come on. So we should be getting further.
So they should be getting further, right? That said, I need to be able to operate in my generation while also fueling the next generation and not creating tension between it. So my daughters... And we homeschool, so we're very sensitive to this.
Gotcha.
My daughters, it's like, we need you to understand where we are, but understand where we are from the context of how it's going to set the tone for where you're going.
That's good.
Right? So I have a goal that by the time I'm 70 to have at least 70 books, right?
Okay.
Now, it's not just because I want 70 books, right? I don't really care if I got bestsellers. I'm going to sell a lot of books because of the way in which I use my books. But the main thing is I want books that become intellectual property assets for the next generations. Yes. And if I have enough of them with enough of the value that I have, two things has happened. One, good. I've set them up. And number two, I've actually exhausted as much as what I had here and didn't take it with me. So
you operating like I'm operating, which is die empty.
Absolutely.
And so people say, man, why? Like,
man, I got something to share with you too. Go ahead, say that.
So any products that I have, I create courses. Any ideals, I'm always like trying to figure out.
Be like, how much have you sold? I don't care how much I sold yet. I gotta get it out there. I'm going to sell it.
I'm gonna sell it.
But right now, I gotta release this because look, ideas, they go like this. They go like this, and sometimes you gotta get them in that moment.
The best ideas is where? At that gravesite, because we did not allow ourselves. This is why I tell people, it was like, well, number one question. Okay, so it was two things asked last year. They was like, bro, because we did a vision board party a couple years ago, and I said, man, I told my wife, we did a vision board party. We followed up with people. They ain't do nothing on the vision board party. And so I told her, I said, we're not gonna have a vision board party this year because we're already living in our vision.
Oh, I remember you told me about that. I was like, you told me somebody asked you. Yeah. I was like, man, I'm living. You did a video of that.
And so people gave me kickback. I was like, well, that's not fair to people who don't understand. I said, no. I need you to understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you can write everything on that vision board, but if you do not make it attainable, because one of the things I always tell people is being unrealistic is the closest thing to poverty. And the reason why I tell people this is because you're putting a Lamborghini on this board, but you're not even making $1,000 a month. So that's being unrealistic. Being unrealistic is the closest thing to poverty. To poverty. And a lot of times people be like, oh, well, I mean, I want to think big. Yeah, thinking big, but set small, tangible goals that can fuel to the next goal.
You know, there's an interesting spin on that.
Come on.
So what makes that unrealistic is really the way they think. So a Lamborghini can actually be a fueling.
Yes.
However, if you got a Lamborghini, but I can't look at anything you've done to say that it would put you closer to the Lamborghini.
Come on.
For example, so I haven't sold 100,000 books yet.
Come on.
Right? At some point, I will.
Of course.
Especially the things that I'm doing. However, I got 8 books.
Come on.
And I got more coming.
Yes.
And not just because they're coming. It's like, man, I just got value in me that's been held up.
Dying empty.
If somebody tells me they got a Lamborghini on their vision board and I see they actually been putting out some work, I know that, one,
come on,
something's working on them to become the person for which it can work for.
Yes.
And that makes a little more sense to have a Lamborghini on your board. But if you're not doing anything,
come on,
like I don't even see you close to the capacity of being able to handle a Lamborghini. Like you don't even have the ability to manage your money well.
Come on.
Right? Don't get me wrong. And listen, this is another thing, man. I've been poor. When I tell you I have seen the zeros not be 9 figures. I'm talking about the zeros, wishing there was some figures.
I'm with you.
I've seen it.
Yes.
And what I know is just because you're at 0 or even in the negative doesn't mean you don't have the capacity.
Ooh,
the truth is we all have an unlimited capacity of unfulfilled potential. Yes. However, you can look at somebody and determine whether or not they got some hunger or not.
Come on.
And so if you don't have any hunger, and if I don't see any aspect of hunger, like what you got that on your board for?
So I want to piggyback off of that though, because I think people need to understand a couple things though. I think I'm really big on, because people say, hey, how many podcasts? Like I did 100 podcasts last year. I said, I'm gonna do 200 podcasts and 1,000 reels. They said 1,000 reels. I said, it's only 3 a day. So let's just slow it down. On Sundays, from between 4 and 6, I'm gonna shoot 21 reels. All right. And then I'm gonna drip up during the week. So I take 30 minutes out of my life, out of 168 hours. See, this is the part that people miss. You can achieve what you want to achieve, but you gotta know how to calculate your time. A lot of people, I said, how many hours during the week? People be like, 168, how many hours in a day? 84,600 hours, seconds a day. I said, those are the things. I'm looking at my time because my time is valuable. We're here for a short time.
For sure.
So while we're here, and I love what you're saying, die empty.
For sure.
Too many people, I'm looking online, I'm like, bro, create a course. Man, I don't know what to do. It's like, create this. The world is waiting to hear your voice.
You're operating in weakness, not wellness.
So let's talk about the wellness part.
Before you say that,
go.
We're going to do that, and this is going to lead to it. Watch this. So my buddy, he's my barber. Okay. He's also my brother. Like we used to sing together in middle school. Okay. Right. Okay. And so we sung in a group together and all that kind of stuff. Like, I ain't even tell you the fullness of the childhood, right? Playing instruments and all of that, right? Well, we be chopping it up when I go into the barbershop, and he's a preacher as well. He be setting up his messages, and a lot of times we share the things that we're getting, while we're in the barbershop together. So one day he was talking about this specific message about God's breath. And so I had been telling him about this perspective of, which I got it from Matthew 25, where it's like, we got to give God the greatest return on his investment in us, right?
Come on.
You go back to the parable of the talents, and you actually calculate what the talents were in today's money that the master gave him. The one that got 5, it was over $11 million.
Come on.
The one that had 2, it was over $4 million. The one that had 1, it was over $2 million. Right?
Come on.
So what the communication is, there's a huge value there, right? And so I was like, man, we got to give, and we were talking. I was like, man, we got to give God the greatest return on his investment with us. He said, check this. Is this little bar in one of his messages. He said, so that his breath does not return to him without the exhausted weight of productivity. I told him, I said, I need you to stop cutting my hair right now.
Stop real quick, sir. Stop real quick, sir.
I was like, man, I had to feel it because
so God is really disappointed with a lot of people because they're not allowing the greatness, their gift. They're not. He's like, I'm giving you this. I'm giving you your gift will make room for you. That's why I tell people, you're not in competition with nobody. People be like, well, man, there's studios all around. I say, yeah, but God bring me
just because
my people.
Somebody else is doing it doesn't mean there's competition. Watch this. Is anybody in competition with your fingerprints?
Nobody.
Can they? No. Nobody can compete with your fingerprints. They will always and forever, even after the point you are gone, be your fingerprints. It's the same thing with
Do you
your
know
purpose.
the acronym for DNA?
I probably didn't heard a few of them. What is it?
The D is you are designed.
Okay.
The N is to notice. And the A is your assignment.
Design, notice, assignment. Come on now.
Your DNA, when you know your DNA and you know your assignment, nobody can duplicate you.
No, nobody can be me.
Come on.
And listen, like we use that term competition only because you're in the same ecosystem. But the truth is, like you're only man, let me tell you when I really learned this lesson. John Maxwell, as you can tell, as I mentioned earlier, is one of my first mentors in the leadership lane. And he was a huge proponent of Coach John Wooden. That was his mentor. Mentor. And Coach John Wooden, the thing that I loved about him the most is he never scouted other teams. You know what he scouted? The potential of his players. So while people were chasing what they had done, they were chasing what they could do. When I saw that,
that's a different.
When I saw that, I was like, I'm going to chase who I am and what I can do, not what I've been and what I've done.
The problem is we trying to drive forward, but we steady looking in the rearview mirror.
Come on, man.
So if you're looking in the rearview mirror, you're gonna have an accident. So you gotta stay locked in. You gotta stay locked in to what's ahead of you.
For sure. Let's go to the wellness piece.
Let's go to before we go to that piece, I gotta ask you about 5 acronyms.
Okay.
This is the acronym game. I'm gonna tell you acronym.
You're gonna give me a
word,
and I gotta come up with an acronym.
I'm gonna give you the word. I'm gonna give you the acronym, and then you tell me what it means to you.
Okay. All right.
Number 1, money. Acronym. Momentarily owned, not externally yours.
Momentarily earned.
Owned.
Not
externally yours.
Externally yours.
Yes. What do it mean to you?
Oh man. It means that it's something to be leveraged and not leaned upon.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Next one is poor. Passing over opportunity repeatedly. What do it mean to you?
Avoiding your potential.
The next one is hope. HOPE. Help other people excel. What do it mean to you?
Doing for others is doing for self.
That's good. Faith. For anything, I trust him.
Try to any other way and see what happens.
All right, let's talk about the wellness. So that's my little acronym game. For sure. I have these 77 cards I'm working on right now. It's 77 cards of acronyms. Last one, denial. Don't even notice I am lying.
Ooh. That's blindness at its worst.
Lying to yourself.
Man, that's blindness because, one of the passages that Paul taught was, no, it wasn't Paul. It was actually John. He said, if you confess your sins, if you confess your mark missing, right? If you confess your inability to hit the mark,
come on,
and the fact that you missed the mark, if you confess that, he is faithful and just to forgive you of that and to cleanse you. But here's the key part. If you won't even own up to it, he won't even give you a benefit.
Come on.
Denial? Listen, man. Listen, you're better off being vulnerable and honest than to actually try to hide it. Because don't nobody like that.
That's true.
Not even God.
That's true.
God is fully righteous and he don't like it. We don't like it, but he fully righteous. Come on, man.
All right, so let's get into the wellness part. All right, so take us on this journey. So what made you start it and why should people connect with you? These are 2 questions. What made you start
the wellness professor?
Yes.
Being the guy.
Yes. What made you? That's the first one. And the second question is why should people? Okay. Yes. Let's go get it.
Now how long I got on this?
However you want.
Okay. So let me start with how did I get here? How did I get on this journey? Why is it that I'm doing this? It starts with this is the best way I heard knowing your purpose, right?
Okay.
A lot of people talk about, I want to know my purpose. I want to, be up in my lane, my vein. And Myron Golden says this. You're going to hear me talk a lot about Myron and John Maxwell. These my guys, right?
Yeah.
Myron said, you can't actually know your purpose until you first are willing to commit to it.
Come on.
Right? Come on. And so how I even got to the wellness game is I committed to it before I knew it. Right? The truth is, let's just be transparent. I've been teaching, I've been coaching, I've been training, I've been doing in the context of my purpose for years.
Come on.
And I've been developing my strategy, my craft, my approach. I've been developing myself, right? And I've been perfecting and fine-tuning my niche, right? And the closest I got to my niche was not last year, a couple years ago, which was I discovered that who I really help at the nitty gritty is CEOs, business owners, and executives to eliminate family life crashing and burning, right? Like that's huge. When I came to that clarity, man, I went in hard.
Come on.
Because I had been the guy that was leadership focused, got an executive leadership master's degree, which opens up the door for me to teach as a professor at the community college level, all those different things. But here's what happened. I'm such a versatile person to where niching can be a hard thing.
It is.
Right? But here's the beauty. Just like you got fingerprints and I got fingerprints, I got fingerprints.
Come on.
Right? And so if you are committed to your unique fingerprint and you keep pursuing, you keep being consistent, you're going to end up getting there.
Oh, you're going to get there.
So last year, what happened was I found myself in the position to where I was asking the question, like, really, what should I be doing? Right? Because I got all of this skill set. I got these books, and these books, they're the same to me, but I don't know how to say they're the same to everybody else. Like, I didn't have the ability to say that people ask me what your book's about, and I'm like, well, they're about, I knew what they're about, but I couldn't say it to other people. I didn't have the words. And so what ended up happening was, one of my books was kind of an accidental book. I say kind of because it wasn't like really planned. It wasn't something I was pursuing. It's a kid's book. Matter of fact, I got it right here in the bag. I think I do, but we'll pull that out.
Okay.
So it's called Lion, Lion, Roar, Roar. Right? And so the reason I even wrote it was because I was on YouTube one day.
Okay.
And literally this content that came up, I don't follow it. Right? And now the algorithm is such that certain things you get on there, it's gonna start feeding you.
Every day.
But this was weird. I wasn't following this stuff. And just so happened this lady had a thumbnail that says how I, wrote a kid's book with no illustrator in 3 days. The things that caught my attention was no illustrator in 3 days, because I don't know too many people who know how to chug out a book that quick. Like, I've written a book in 5 days and published it, and it's all legit. It's out there. It's a short one, but it's out there, right?
Yeah.
So I know how to compress that time frame and make it happen. I was like, what's she talking about?
I need to see.
And it's not just she did it in a few days. It was illustrated. And she's not an illustrator and didn't have an illustrator. I was like, what did she do? So I went into my research mode.
Come on.
Right? As a result of that, Lion, Lion, Roar, Roar comes out. I realized I had a lot of the same systems and all that kind of stuff. And so me and my daughters, we collaborate together on this book, and we get Lion, Lion, Roar, Roar. And the lion roars. And it's the first book in my Be the Great You series, right?
Okay.
Now watch this. I used that book in 2022, the context of it and the thought process, in order to be a part of the Great American Speak Off, which was the first one by Grant Cardone, Pete Vargas, and all that kind of stuff. I ended up being in the semifinals as a result of that. You got to do like a minute, 2 minute speeches.
Got to get to it.
Dude, and it was like, man, I was fired up about it. But what happened was I ended up shifting gears and leaving it instead of staying with that content, because there was a lot of momentum behind it. It was a different message than most people were giving, right?
I love it.
And so this past year, I revisited that content because, my oldest daughter is 14, just celebrated her birthday last week, and she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes right before her 10th birthday, which happened to be less than 30 days after my dad passed away. It was like all those things, right? And in that first year of her dealing with type 1, as well as my dad passing away, like, it was tough for her. Literally, she attempted suicide a few times with her medication, right?
Come on.
And as a result of that, I started doing more study into kids' situations with suicide and crime. I'm also a part of a prison work where I go into the prisons on a regular basis to help men deal with, transitioning from their situation. So like all of this is coming full circle for me, right?
Sir.
And so literally, I'm back in front of this book. And I was like, man, this book can help a lot of kids. And I ain't really trying to sell it, but I can use it as a tool. So I was like, what should I do with it? And I had this idea of transform kids' minds. So I created this effort called Transform Kids' Minds. And it's a 3-layered approach where we actually energize the kids, train the kids, and then encourage the kids. Here's the thing. With the energizing, what we're doing is we're reading the book for the first 8 minutes to energize them. Why? Because you got to open them up, right? Of course. The next thing we do is train them with what we call the 5 greatness sayings. I'm coming to it. You're going to see the picture.
I'm picturing it right now.
You're going to see the picture. Train them with the 5 greatness sayings, which in the first person is I am loved.
Okay.
Now watch this. If you think about suicide, crime, all of that. And I told you, I deal with guys who are inmates. And most of what they've told me is one of the main reasons they found themselves where they were is because they didn't think they were loved. They didn't think they were valued, right? So what are the things we share? I am loved. I am unique. I am valuable. I was created for greatness and great things. I was created to live a life of contribution.
Affirmation, right? All in speaking.
It's encouragement, right? It's them having encouragement in themselves. Like they got to have the language
that's true.
of value and worth in themselves. And unfortunately, they don't have the language of value and worth, right? Okay, so that's the train part. But what's the encouragement? I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something that most people don't do with their books. They don't give other people a space to put their name in their book. Well, here's what I mean. I want to give people the ability to leverage this book as a tool of encouraging kids in their value and worth. So that those 5 greatness sayings in the third person are you are loved, you are unique, you are valuable, you were created for greatness and great things, you were created to live a life of contribution, and then you put your name or your business name, what you do, or your business website. That's good. So for a business, it's like marketing, and for an individual, it's encouragement primarily, just raw. Yeah. It's not charitable. Because remember, doing for others is doing for self.
Of course.
Give wellness to get wellness. We're going to come back to that, right? So watch this. I was approaching, what was it? Associations.
Okay.
With this idea as a marketing, as a marketing option, because their businesses can actually support this as a support aspect and make it a difference in the community while also being able to get a marketing benefit because they're able to make known their brand. The IRS actually talks about this in the context of their policies that, hey, marketing is also in ways where you're keeping your name in front of those in the community, right? Yes. You're branding guys. So you get that, right?
I already know.
So this is, now, mind you, this is also like everything I'm talking about is all different lanes and stuff, right? So how do you take this and make it to where it is? Like you got all these books, you got this kids book, you teach business, you teach everything in business. Dude, what do you do? Right? And so here's what happened. While I was talking with one of my clients, which I got some information, I got to get to them soon, which is the Houston Bar Association. I was actually a mentee of the Houston Bar Association when I was in middle school. Okay. And so I kind of had a point of leverage there to where I could reach out to the executive director, ended up having a conversation. Next thing you know, I was pitching this strategy I just told you about to her.
Yes.
And she was like, Leo, I like it, but I don't like it as marketing. Now, let me just straight up tell you. Everybody know when you pitching an idea and somebody say they don't like it, it's a no.
Yes, yes.
That's not what she did. And let me tell you why. This is the power of relationships. This is the power of wellness, relationship wellness. Huh? Now you're starting to see what wellness is coming right? Okay. This is the power of relationship wellness. Because I share with her the impact that me being mentored through the Houston Bar Association, and she was also a mentor when that time frame was as well, knew my mentor, and I approached her the way that I did, she automatically saw me as somebody she wanted to help and not necessarily just somebody who was trying to pitch her.
That's good.
You see?
That's good.
And so a lot of times when it comes to pitching, I went into my teaching mode for a moment.
Come on.
When it comes to pitching, a lot of times people can smell that we're actually just trying to get the catch. So we pitch it because we want them to hit it and catch it, rather than we're pitching it because we just want to release it because we know the value of our release.
And so I think on that though, I think people, and I tell people, because I hear this a lot too, because I want to piggyback off of that, is when you pitching anything.
Yeah.
If you're doing something every day, you never have to pitch nothing.
You believe it.
So like, I tell people all the time, it's like, okay, well, why you do reels? I say, I do reels that make people feel uncomfortable. So I would say things like, so you still working at that job when you really know you should be an entrepreneur? Oh, well.
You're amplifying the pain.
Yes.
See, here's what people don't understand. This is why being vulnerable is important.
Yes.
Like if you just got head knowledge and you know some stuff, people don't like that. But when you've been through something,
come on,
and you are very well acquainted with their pain, and you know how to amplify their pain so well,
come on,
they know you have a solution.
Come on.
That's the thing. So you don't have to try to pitch people outside of what it is that you're trying to do and who you're trying to be, because the truth is, if you're just being authentic, people just gonna be hungry for it.
And that's, I think what people need to know that part right there. The problem is people like, well, I gotta be marketing. I'm like, bro, if you be yourself, you clarify your messaging, you will drag people to you. And I'm talking about when I say to drag them to you, they would come like, hey, I need to pay you something. You know what I'm saying?
Why am I sitting right here? I'm sitting right here because I was being authentic.
Yes.
You see? And so not just the 21 days of wellness, that's a strategy. That's an approach.
Come on.
But I'm the wellness professor. Obviously, you get on there and you hear this guy talking about wellness. So watch this. Perfect segue, by the way.
Come on, perfect.
So I'm sitting with the executive director via Zoom.
Okay.
And she said, I don't see it for marketing. But I do see it for wellness.
Ooh, I like it.
And when she did that, she pulled me into my mode. Let me back up and say this. So one of my past directors in the past I said past twice. One of my past directors said to me, he said, Leo, I want you to know something about yourself. He said, you have this unique ability to straddle well between the worlds of strategy and operations efficiency and effectiveness.
That's good.
Right? And so when he said that, he gave me some explanation about it because of some things we were talking about. And at that point, I realized that I have this very uncanny ability in the eyes of other people, but this was who I was designed to be, to straddle well between strategy and execution. Ooh. And so if I'm in the mode of execution and a person shifts to strategy, I go, right? And if I'm in strategy and they go to execution, I go, because what they're saying is, I need your value over here. Like, I know that, right?
Good.
So when she said, I see it as wellness, literally she activated something in me to where it's like, when she got the vision, I didn't care if it wasn't the way I saw it. It was now, how can I make what I see fit?
Ooh,
and
good.
Be exactly what she sees it being, because I have the unique ability to do that, right? And so as a result of that, we talked and we went through our process and so on and so forth. She said, hey, in the new year, let's revisit, blah, 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 right? After that call, this right here is where you have a wellness mindset.
Uh-oh, here we go, y'all.
This right here is where I said something unique happened, and I got with my mastermind partner and we chopped it up. We dissected and literally took it out, which from that conversation, which was in, I want to say December, first part of December, from that conversation, after it was like a day after I had the conversation with her, we had our conversation. And in that conversation, it was clear. My niche is wellness, and everything I do is described by wellness: leadership wellness, business wellness, relationship wellness, strategy wellness. Like, I'm versatile, but here's the thing. The reason people need to come to me is because they have a weakness, or in other words, chaos, frustration, and confusion in their work, their life, or their identity, and they need some wellness to replace it.
Ooh, that's good.
So at that point, I was clear, dude. I was like, that's what's up. I know where we're going.
So so this brand that everybody, 2024, we're going hard on this brand. as
I
people,
know I answered your second question. I was gonna come to it.
yeah. So
yeah.
I want to get to that question. Like, why is it like when people start to say, okay, I need to go to him
Here's
because
why.
this is why.
Here's why. So my company's name is literally the answer to the question.
Okay.
And our mission is the answer to the question.
Okay.
Here's the company name. Inspire the Globe.
Okay.
Why is it that? Because we breed solutions into the world's problems. How do we do that? We do it through content delivery.
Come on.
And solution creation, which means we're going to teach you what you need to know.
Come on.
But we're also going to give you an avenue of application for you to actually apply it.
So that's so good.
That's why you need to work with me.
And I tell
because
people,
I'm gonna give you content, but I'm
yes,
gonna also give you an ability to utilize that content.
So we've been told a long time, knowledge is power, and I
Applied
said
knowledge is power.
There we go. I always say no. The application of the knowledge is the power. I always said that. The application of the knowledge.
I'm gonna drop
like
something
what you applying. Go ahead.
I'm gonna drop something. So I'm gonna drop something with regard to some work that I'm doing. Right?
Okay.
So one of my books that's gonna be coming out soon is connected with a thought process of how to actually achieve mastery, and it's the different degrees you experience in mastery.
Okay,
right? And so it comes from a passage in the narrative, the gospel narrative of John, where it talks about that Jesus was actually talking with some of his kinspeople. They were natural born Hebrews and Jews, right?
Gotcha.
And so he shared some things with them. And the way the text is written, the narrative is written, it says, after he had finished speaking to them, they believed on him. Watch this. After he had finished speaking to them, they believed on him. Okay. So I'm seeing this and I'm like, oh, I got some principles up in here. Right. So then watch what happens. I'm not going to tell you the principles, but all the principles. I want you to see what happened. It says he finished talking. They believed. Right. So then he gives some clarity. He says, now watch this.
Come on.
If you continue in what I just said, I'm paraphrasing.
Come on.
You believed what I just said, but believing really is going to be proved or proven in what you do from now on.
Your work.
So he says, if you continue in my word, then are you my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. In other words, here's what really comes to bear on that.
Come on.
If you hear some information and it's valuable, but you do nothing with it, you don't really see the value in it. And so one of the books that I'm gonna have coming out in the next few months is actually gonna be talking about that truth and perspective in leveraging the principles for it, so people can see the different degrees that lead to mastery in anything.
So I got three questions for you. I got three hard-hitting questions for you.
Okay, let's go.
We got a time capsule this big.
Did you?
That was so good.
Okay,
that was so good. People, listen.
We didn't even scratch the surface.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much to talk about. But if you got a time capsule this big, this high, you could put three things in there before you get out of here.
And these three things are to leave behind, right?
Yeah, so we can put it in the ground. 1,000 years later, we're gonna pull it out. What are the three things you want to leave in there so the world can remember you by?
So the world can remember me by?
Yes.
I'm gonna put a Bible in there.
Okay, they know you was about that Bible life. What else?
Right, but here's why I'm gonna put the Bible in there.
Okay.
What if 1,000 years later somebody done burned all the Bibles?
That's true. That's a good one. Because the world we hated.
And the thing that's predictable needs to persist, right?
Yes.
So the reason I'm going to put that in there is because the thing that's predictably progressive, no matter what, it's got to be there. They got to know I was about that which was predictably productive all the time.
That's the first thing. That's
the first thing. What's the second thing I'm going to put in there? Put a picture of me and my wife.
I love it.
So they understand covenant love.
Ooh, talk about it. And the last
come back
thing,
on the marriage side.
I know. You already know one marriage, two hustlers, babe. Yeah. I love it. And then the last thing.
The last thing.
You might drop your books in there.
Nah,
you don't even want to put them in there.
Nah, I'm gonna put this saying right here.
A letter.
I'm gonna put
A quote.
I'm gonna put this phrase just because I'm thinking about it right now. Attorneys are the freest people in the world because they know their legal rights. Now listen to me.
That's deep.
I think this is huge. Let me tell you why those three things. So it's not that I want to cause people to be attorneys, right? But I do want people to understand the power of understanding the legal structure.
Yes.
Right? The Bible really is the lawful structure, right? So if you look at what's in that capsule, you got a lawful structure, then you got a love structure, and then you got a legal structure.
Come on.
Right? But the power of that phrase, I heard it from an attorney. And you know, when I go to law school, and I'm going to use it a lot because I'm going to say I know exactly what he means, right?
Come on.
But the reality is this. If you know with great clarity how the shifts in economy, government, and society affect you legally,
crazy,
you can win at anything. But if you don't know how to navigate the words within the context of the legal structure, man, you're going to be hurting. And that's one of the lessons I learned from my childhood and all the things that I navigated, all the things that I had to challenge. It put me in a position to where I came to understand the truth of the matter is this, that if you have no ability to stand on a conviction, you're going to actually be taken as a convict.
That's so good. Last thing is...
That's only one question.
Yeah, and the next question.
But you said 3 questions.
I know, so here's the next question.
Oh, okay.
The next question is, have you did enough work right now that if you died tomorrow, you satisfied with?
Yeah.
I love it.
Here's why I say that. Even though I hadn't made the millions I will make.
Okay,
but I've set things in place in such a manner to where the perspective can actually be a propelling factor.
And that's so good. And I think that, and I asked that question because a lot of people be like, no, I got more work. I'm like, why? I feel like I have done, listen, the things that I say I want, like, there has to come a time when you have to say enough is enough. When I say enough is enough, it's like, I achieved what I want. Of course, we all want more and more and more and more and more. But it's like, I said these were the 3 core things I wanted to do. I achieved it. And of course, you're going to add on top of that. But people feel like, I need more. I'm like, okay, more is good. But have you achieved them goals that you're satisfied with?
You know, when we think like that, what we're exposing is that we have a weakness and not a wellness within the context of our mindset and our purpose.
Yes.
And let me explain what I mean by that in this regard. It's really an aspect that, you know, one of the things that Paul says is godliness without contentment is great gain. Or godliness with contentment is great gain. That's what he says. And here's what he's really saying. He's saying, I have the truth and I know the truth about me.
Come on.
Right. And so that being the case, it puts me in a position to where I have a posture of what I'm supposed to be doing this moment, I'm doing it. And if I'm not doing it that way, I'm at least being honest about it. Right. And so being able to deal with, I'm honest with who I am. And if I didn't get X done, it's not because I couldn't, it's because maybe this, but I understand why. And I'm actually positioning myself for the next moment. So you got a weakness in the context of your identity and your mindset, right?
That's true.
So with that, you put yourself in a place to where being able to say, look, if something happened to me now, no, I didn't get to do all of the things, but I was doing the things I needed to be doing in that moment.
And that's it. The last question is, I'm going to throw you the alley-hoop.
Come on.
Is there any question you want to ask me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because I like to throw, people like, yes. So is there anything you want to ask me?
So this one is coming back to the fact that we got a similar background.
Come on.
For being from Baytown.
Come on.
First of all, what school did you go to?
Baytown Sterling, class of 1998.
All right, you was. Let me see. It was Sterling and
Baytown Lee.
Lee. So Lee is the burgundy, Sterling is the blue.
Yes.
All right. So you went to Sterling. All right.
Yes.
Sterling is the one that's over there off Main, right? Across from the post office.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's Sterling.
Baker Road.
Yeah, Baker. That's what it is. Yeah, it's over there. All right. Now, what is it that? Because some people, they just be wanting to get away. And I don't, from what I know of you and our interactions, I don't think it was just you want to get away. It's like you had to go as things progress. What was it that you saw that caused you to say, like, this is what I need to go after? Like, why entrepreneurship for you? And just so you clear, there are some entrepreneurs in Baytown.
Of course.
So why your
I
family
know
was
some.
talking about they don't know nothing about entrepreneurship? I just said
they didn't know back then. That was, and then when they don't know they working. What made me go there was, man, I'm gonna tell you, I had this vision since '98. Why now is your time? I didn't activate it to 2010, but I had a vision of like, man, I wanted. Cause I love the fact that I'm an avid book reader. So I read this. My wife said, "You read the same type of books," but that's why I like self-help books. I love them. I probably read them all. You know what I'm saying? From Outwitting the Devil to The Slight Edge, all the John C. Maxwell books, Chris Nightingale. I mean, I ain't read them all because I'm an avid reader trying to impact my thinking. And so what made me just want to be an entrepreneur is because I became what I was seeking for. So when I get the young podcasters, 22, 23 coming in here, and I start helping people with that digital course, and I'm like, bro, I wanted that person, but I became him. So only way for me to become him, I had to pay for knowledge, get information, get a mentor. I always like to use this analogy. If I tell you I live in Dallas, but you didn't put in you didn't put in your GPS, and you drive to Dallas looking for my address, first thing you're gonna do, stop at the local store and do what?
Ask for directions.
9 out of 10 times they're gonna say what? Oh man, I don't really know, like the exact address. The problem with people is they go around asking people.
Ask the wrong people.
Because they're trying to find the address to their purpose. They're trying to find that address, but they can't because they don't have a mentor. So if you get a mentor, what happens is he becomes your GPS. Man, he becomes your GPS.
I got something for you.
Go ahead.
So watch this. So you asked me, why should people work with me, right? Why should people, connect with me? All right. Because ultimately, the problem that you have, especially in the context of chaos, confusion, and frustration, like we're going to help you replace wellness with that, right? We have the skill set to do it. But watch this. My greatest mentor is Solomon, the son of David, the third king of Israel. You know why? Because it tells me that Solomon had keen insight and a mind as limitless as the sands of the seashore.
Crazy.
All right. Now watch this. This man was a coach to his contemporaries.
Come on.
And a communicator to crowds.
Come on. That's so good.
And watch this. As such, he caused the whole environment to be better. In other words, he inspired the globe. He understood. He wrote 3,000 proverbs, 1,005 songs. Like he created content that showed his value and his benefit. Why do you create content? Why do you do this? It's because I got to make sure people know what I have to offer them. Right?
Yes.
Now watch this. The one thing that he did was he taught them strategies. He taught them structures. He taught them systems. He taught them opportunities. But there is one thing he taught them that nothing else was like it.
Come on.
You want to know what it is?
What is it?
He said, whoever gives to the poor shall not lack. Watch this. I went and looked it up. There's nothing anywhere else that says if you do this, you will never lack. He didn't say anything. Nobody else said anything that said if you do this, you will never lack.
Come on.
Now watch this. I put it in this phrase. This is where wellness comes in. When you give wellness, you don't lack wellness.
I like that.
Right? Which is why doing for others is doing for self.
Of course.
Consistently meeting the needs of those who cannot help themselves and cannot do back for you is really how you achieve the highest level of wellness. Man. So if you have any weaknesses in your life, any lack in your life, then you need to talk to the person who can actually put wellness into that.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? So if you're in your business and you're having problems, you can come in while we're talking about marriage and get some good game. Why? Because the wellness principles are the same. As a matter of fact, they derive from there, but we're not going to get into that today. But the truth of the matter is every weakness connects back with are you being compassionately generous
Talk
with
about
those who are vulnerable? And everything you just said is in the context of that, right? When we coach people, some people we need to coach, we don't need to charge.
That's true.
Right? And then there are those that we need to charge because of the value exchange they need to experience at the level that they're at.
Yes.
But regardless, no matter what we're doing, we are actually consistently meeting the needs of those who cannot do for themselves and cannot do back to you.
Man, listen, man. You got any more questions we have before we close this podcast? Any more questions before we close out?
I got this one thing.
Okay.
What was it that connected why now is your time to you? Like, what was it about the fact that you had it early on, but it didn't actually come into manifestation later? Why was it so powerful for you?
Because literally, as I seen my mom going through cancer, my mom passed away in 2010.
Breast cancer?
Yes. That was
4 years after my mom passed away from breast cancer.
Yeah, so I remember I was in 11th grade. My sister was in the 7th grade. And my mom said, I got something to show y'all. I was like, what was you talking about? She said, y'all come here. Y'all come in. She sat down. She pulled her wig off. It was like, whoa, what's going on? She's like, I got cancer. All right. And so now I remember she had cancer back in 97, 98. It went into remission and then she didn't die until 2010. And so the whole time I'm thinking, I'm in my 12th grade, like, man, time. That word time kept popping up. And God kept showing me the vision. Time. Why now is your time? Why now is your time? That word kept popping up. He gave me this book. Now, let me tell you what's crazy. He gave me this book in 2010. I didn't release it until 2022. All right? It's crazy. I'm working on...
When you're talking to an author, it makes sense. I get it.
So, but the passion is like, why now is your time? Why now is your time? And it just kept coming. And then he said, man, everybody needs to know their passion, understand their purpose, and pursue your dreams. And I wrote this book. And I was like, man, then God said, we got part 2 coming, which it's called A Little Adventures of Ink. It's about an 11-year-old black kid who grows up in the hood.
It's a kid's book?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's called The Little Adventures of Ink. So, and then the one after that is 77 Principles of Building Your Brand as a Teenager.
Oh, really?
So I got those 2 dropping next. So, but inside the brand, it shows you the 77 principles. It has a character in there, and they get to write in the book. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lion, roar.
I got to show you mine. I got to show you. I had a guy.
You may not want to show it on here, though, because it ain't out yet.
No, I ain't gonna. No. But I love that, though. I love that. Yeah. And you a visionary, man. And I like to see it. That text is starts with a C. I forgot the name of it. I know that text like by heart. I use it on a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm a brand connoisseur. I look at brands. I look at colors. I look at what they saying. I look at messaging. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm watching your videos, I'm like, okay, what's he saying? I'm really diving into the message.
For sure.
You know, when I see people and I try to tell people like, man, when you die, just make sure that you left something behind, bro.
Man, when it comes down to it, kind of really what started to fuel me on this journey when I started with the John Maxwell team was his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth.
Yeah, I think I read that one too.
In the first...
I read all his books.
In the introduction, I think it is, he talked about potential and how the woman, I can't remember her name, her dad, he wanted to sing and he never really did, and he died with the music inside of him, right? And it was from that book, with that part and everything else, that I discovered even this concept that I teach with regard to how to really tap into your unlimited, unfulfilled potential. Like there's two types of potential. There's 3 what do I call it? 3 elements of converting your potential, and then leveraging his 15 laws, then you can actually literally maximize your potential in the highest level, right? And so at that point, that's when I realized that I had the fullness of unlimited, unfulfilled capacity of potential.
Come on.
And I was like, to be honest, you go back to one of the things that Jesus said. He said, if you can believe,
come on,
all things are possible to him that believe it. And if you know about the believe it, that's not saying you believed or you believe now. That's saying you have a consistency of belief. So that means you don't just believe one time. You don't believe 2 times. You believe until you see it, because you know with great certainty that that's the belief. Like, I remember seeing so many times, it's like, because of your faith be it unto you. I was like, what about me? He's like, here it is right here.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's why I said, man, like, I'm not on the trajectory to be the New York Times bestseller.
Who cares though?
Right. And that's a great measure.
Yeah.
It's a great metrics. It's a great environment. That's not my thing. My thing is to bring wellness. And so everything I do, I'm looking at, how can this tool that I have actually bring wellness? Again, content delivery, solution creation. So I got this solution. What's the content that's supposed to engage this solution so that people can engage the content holistically? So when it comes down to it, I was like, this is a solution for adults to be well, but this is also a solution for the kids to be well. You become an encourager. Like $13 per kid, you can actually put a plaque in this book, have this book getting in their hands. You don't have to go spend the time mentoring them, but you're mentoring them through your impact with your funds. Talking about leveraging money, like having an accounting background and understanding how to do that. It's like, I know how to translate it, right? And so by teaching people how to be able to take the principles of life and then put them into pockets of value within the context of what you do, that's why you got to work with me.
Hey, and that's why I tell people all the time. I'm like, man, for me and my wife was on our vision trip. We take a yearly vision trip at the end of the year.
Sweet.
Just so we could talk about our plans. But for New Year's Eve, I'm getting a text message that said, hey, man, thank you for believing in me. I just made $20,000 with my product. See,
that's what's up, man.
Pouring inside of people. I'm constantly pouring inside of people. And I tell people, do you want to be known by 1 million people, or do you want to help 1,000 become a millionaire?
I can answer that question. I want to inspire. Not just be known.
Yes. So, man, listen, man, I'm going to put all this information below. Y'all going to see it popping up. So if you can leave them a 60-second, like, why they shouldn't give up on their dreams, you can use this camera right here.
This is right here.
Yeah, what do you tell them, man? If you could leave them a 60-second on why they should never give up on their dreams and why they should push forward.
I'm going to give it to you in less than 60 seconds. The reason you shouldn't give up on your dreams is because when you give up on your dreams, you leave behind hopelessness for someone else. But the moment you actually give everything to your dreams, you're going to fuel dreams that you will never be able to see yourself.
Listen, thank you guys for watching this episode. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the invitation.
This is going to be one of many.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, let's go, man. Look. I always say, before you got here, what was your expectations? I know you was like, I'm kind of stupid.
Nah.
You already knew?
Dude, I got the invitation. I was at home.
I asked because some people be like, man, I've been to podcast rooms. I thought I was coming to a little room. I'm like, man, we walk in excellence.
Let me tell you why my expectation was to see what you created.
Oh, I like that.
Because I just wanted to see what it looked like. I didn't care what it looked like. I just wanted to see what it looked like. So I could see the vision that I heard actually as a manifestation.
Last thing. So when you saw me speak for 10 minutes, whatever it was. 5 minutes.
Because he had it up.
Yeah, he had it up. So 5 minutes. And then what I was saying, and then now that you actually get here, what's the
correlation?
Yes.
So first of all, why now is your time? All right. So you're in it. Because
every day.
Because you're not waiting. You like, look, dude, I ain't got no time. But also when I listen to the messaging, when I hear, hey, I have this, and even people share what you did, like Chip shared what you did and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm the person that understands that the real is the thing you don't see.
That's true.
The manifestation, or the thing that we actually see with our eyes, that's just a manifestation of the reality.
That's true.
So what you were saying, what you were doing, what I was seeing in your content and all those different things, it was clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing that really got me. Hey, we do face-to-face. To where you're saying, no, let's go get knee to knee, right?
Yes.
And not just let's get knee to knee. Let's use this studio. Let's leverage it. Let's actually show the world that this is out here, so podcasters can know this is a place for you to actually, like, your vision, right? So your vision now was something that I could actually be a part of. So I was like, anybody who has a vision and is pursuing the manifestation of that vision, you don't have to wonder too much what it is. You just want to see what it is.
That's true. And I learned that too with a lot of people. I'm like, man, because we went to so many studios last year. It was crazy just to see, because we had our podcast gala. And the crazy part is, I'm like, we had this podcast gala. We're going to these studios, trying to invite them to come to the podcast gala. And we getting pushback like, nah, we good. We don't know y'all. But let me tell you about God. It was 110 Black excellence in that room. 110 people.
Sweet.
Like paid people. People that paid anywhere from $200 to $500 up to $1,500.
Sweet.
In that room. And to see it. That's why I said when we started selling tickets, it was moving slow. I'm like, man.
I mean, right now, I'm slow in what I'm getting. Like, we got 100,000 that we're going to be securing by the end of the month, right? I'm gonna speak on that.
Come on.
And we're touching 99,000 still needed. But why don't I care? Because I understand the power of two things: momentum and the laws of compound interest in our world, which correspond to the fact that viral reality is the environment we live in. You get the right message, moving with the right people at the right time. It's done in minutes, not in days, not in years. It's done in minutes. So because I know what we're working with, and it's just a matter of the right people getting touched by it, man, it's just a matter of time. You know how I know? I always learn this. I teach this to my students. I say, understand this. When you have a concept that you think is valuable, put it out there. The moment you get your first sale, proof of concept.
Man, that's what
proof of concept. It doesn't matter how quickly it moves. The moment somebody buys, proof of concept.
Yep. And it's all about systems and processes, man. Listen, man, look, he dropped so many gems, man. Listen, don't forget to follow him. Please DM him. So you starting your community soon? Paid community or just gonna be free? What is it?
Oh, you starting with this.
Okay.
If you want to get into my community, you start with becoming an encourager. Encourage a kid and watch how doing for others is doing for self. That's where you start.
Hey, man.
I ain't got no community options right now. This is the community. Become an encourager.
Man, listen, man. I always say, keep watching me like you watch TV. Number one, you're going to watch your mindset change. And number two, your income got to grow.
For sure.
We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Peace.